Let's begin with a general overview of the iOS platform. iOS is the operating system that powers the iPod Touch, iPhone, and iPad. Additionally, it powers the Apple TV. However, Apple hasn't opened up the Apple TV for third-party development at this point, but it's entirely possible that they will do so in the future. There are currently over 300 million iOS devices that have been sold. This is a rather incredible number, especially considering the platform's only been available for a few years, but in a lot of ways is really just the tip of the iceberg. As new markets such as China and India expand, I think we'll see an incredible amount of growth in this space for many years to come. There are currently over 550,000 apps available on the App Store, so an incredible amount of choice for consumers. This has clearly been a very popular platform for developers. iOS is really just a scaled-back version of OS X. And this is a great choice in operating system in that OS X is powerful, robust, scalable, can easily handle high levels of concurrency, is very efficient, so it really was a great choice for these mobile devices. Now OS X and iOS are still two separate platforms, but I think we'll continue to see a greater amount of convergence of these platforms as we go forward. Lion and Mountain Lion have been very influenced by advances made in iOS, and in the years to come I think we'll see these two platforms probably become a single operating system at some point in time. Now let's look at the individual layers within this architecture. Cocoa Touch is the topmost layer, and when most people think about iOS apps, I think they're probably most familiar with what's available in Cocoa Touch. So our general application management is found here for bootstrapping our applications, running our applications in the background, or working in a multitasking type of environment. All of this can be found within Cocoa Touch. Likewise, all of our visual components are defined here, so buttons and switches and tab bar components. You'll find these elements available in the Cocoa Touch libraries. Our view controllers and storyboards, which we use for managing various screens and transitions between those screens, are found here. And we also have all of our gesture and event handling. So these advanced multi-touch gestures that are available in iOS can be found in the Cocoa Touch layer. iOS is a very media-rich platform, with broad support for a variety of media types. The Quartz API is our 2D graphics engine, and API for doing any 2D drawing. iOS also has very robust support for animations. Animation is really an essential ingredient in the iPhone user experience, and all of that is enabled through this framework called Core Animation. We can certainly leverage those built-in animations in our own applications, but we can also use the Core Animation framework for doing any kind of custom animation that we might want to do. There's also very broad support for OpenGL ES. So if you need to do advanced 3D visualization or rendering, maybe you want to create a 3D game, you can do so through OpenGL ES. Very broad support for audio and video types. So we can record and playback video and audio. We can even edit audio and video through these frameworks. And any media that we might want to stream back to an Apple TV, we can do that through the use of AirPlay. Core services provide us with a wide variety of functionality that almost all iOS applications will use. A new feature in iOS 5 is the use of iCloud storage. This makes it really easy for us to synchronize data across multiple iOS devices. If we need to support advanced concurrency, being able to run multiple operations at the same time, we can use Grand Central Dispatch. In-app purchase functionality is also available at this layer. Our data management in terms of reading and writing from databases or managing complex graphs of objects can be handled here as well. And an important framework found in the core services layer is a framework called Foundation. And we use this in almost all iOS applications. And then finally we get down to the core OS layer. And these are very low-level operating system tasks that we can perform at this layer. Things such as security services, advanced networking, threading, standard I/O, memory allocation. Most applications don't typically need to program at this level, but the functionality is available and is exposed in case you need it. For instance, if you're integrating with a hardware device, you might need to program at the core OS level. Now, generally speaking, when we're at these higher levels of abstraction, things are much easier, simple APIs. I'm regularly amazed at how you can do these very complex things very simply and very succinctly when you're operating at the Cocoa Touch layer. And then as we go down these layers, the amount of code we have to write and the complexity of that code generally increases. It's important to become familiar with this layered architecture and understand the specific features available at each layer so that you can always pick the most appropriate level of abstraction for your application.